Hey Phil, so I'm gonna try to keep this short and to the point. That's difficult because you gave me a fantastic choice in Ready Player One. I had the version that was read by Will Wheaton, which I feel personally adds to the whole ambiance of a fixation on video game and overall 1980s pop culture and forward. I thought it was a great homage to the whole genre. Everything about this book was just fantastic. I thought that it was going to be more of a take on. I had heard some things about it. I saw the trailer for the movie. I thought it was going to be kind of like a new age version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And aside from some of the language and subject matter that was addressed prior to this point in the book, there was a moment where our main character was in that office, having that conversation with Sorrento, and was threatening to blow up his house. And I thought that that was going to be like a big reveal at the end, like, oh, surprise, he was in on it the whole time. You know, like the Slugworth type character from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And we took those goggles off, and there was that dramatic pause, and then boom, his house blew up. I was like, oh man, this book snapped into awesome mode. I thought it did a fantastic job of real solid character development in our main character, his motivations. I really like his growth as a character. He kind of had a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and came out as a real strong hero. Artemis and H were great character development. I love the twist with H at the end. I suspected something like that was coming, but it still felt organic, and I really appreciated how they did that and developed that for that character, that character's full arc. Some of the only real critiques I have would be with having to do with when you're listening to a book. I'm kind of new to the audio book listening game. There were some times where maybe it just takes me some getting used to, where it felt a little inorganic. Overall, Will Wheaton did a fantastic job, but I think it's just the notion of reading a text conversation. Parzival, blah, 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 blah. Artemis, blah, 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 blah. Parzival, blah, 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 blah. Reading a text conversation in that format, if you're watching it on TV or if you're reading it on your phone yourself, that's one thing. Listening to someone read a text conversation and having to say what each character is saying, like introduce the character and then their line, I don't know, man. It lost some of its translation. It slowed to me emotionally. My emotional connection to the story slowed in those areas. But those were few and far between, and overall, it was a fantastic and glorious homage to the 1980s and pop culture, video game, movies, anime in general. I loved it. I loved everything about the book, and I am so excited for the movie. But here's the thing. I went back and watched the trailer for Ready Player One after reading the book, and I'll say this: I already saw some flaws based on but I'm not going to be that guy and that elitist. However, I'm excited because I think the idea behind the book, there's nobody better suited to direct Ready Player One, considering its subject matter and its homage to the 1980s and pop culture, than Steven Spielberg. Nobody else could do this movie but Steven Spielberg. So it makes me excited that he's directing this movie, just like I was excited at the notion once I started getting into the book that Will Wheaton, who is so heavy into the, nerd community, if you will, was reading this book that was about the nerd community. I think it was an interesting take onto how obsessive nerd culture can be about video games and pop culture references. I think it was a fantastic book overall. It was a roller coaster ride of emotion. That last battle scene, I finished the book in probably about 3 days. It was that good. I could not stop listening to it. And then I went back to chapter 34 to re-listen to that final battle again. It was amazing. I mean, it was incredible. Thank you for choosing that book, and I really look forward to the next one that you choose. Keep up the good work, Phil. Thanks.